Hello friends. I want to wish you a happy new year. And hope that in 2022 will be better. I do not want to visit this whole block of videos. And as funny as it is, I want to apologize again for our absence. I won't promise anything, but I'll go straight to the topic of the video. Real about the discovery in the mine. I am sure you know at least one case of findings. But these objects have long been called irrelevant artifacts. Strange things found in chunks of rock, they are clearly not of their time. For example, in the year 1805, an iron nail was found in a limestone quarry in Scotland. In 1889 drillers in Idaho from a depth of 90 meters have raised a tiny statue of a woman measuring 4 centimeters, the age of the rocks in which it was located, estimated at 2 million years. In 1891 years in the US. Newspaper flashed the note that the miners found inside a huge block of coal gold chain length of 25 centimeters. In the year 1212 in Oklahoma, at a power plant, an iron cup fell out of a block of coal, and a distinct trace of it was left on the coal inside. In the year 1922, a concrete wall made of regular blocks was found by miners here at depth. The mine was allegedly closed immediately, and the miners were transferred to other places. In 1932 year was found famous London hammer. It was found by husband and wife Max and Emma Hahn at Red Creek near London, Texas. The hammer, encased in rock with a wooden handle, was made in the second half of the 19th century. Geologists determined the rock in which it was enclosed to be 444 to 485 million years old. In the year 1974, in one of the sand pits of Romania was found another aluminum part, similar to the support of the landing leg of the Apollo spacecraft. There are interesting finds on the ground as well. In the year 1922 in the state of Nevada, archaeologist John Reed found a boot print with traces of thread on the edge of the rant on one of the rocks. The rock on which it was imprinted was 5 million years old and belonged to the Triassic period. An amateur paleontologist William Meister found the same footprint in a boot near Antelope Spring, Utah, in the 68th year. Curiously enough, the print was not on the surface, but inside a piece of shale that Meister had cracked. Next to the boot print, there was also a trilobite print inside. Geologists dated the piece of rock to the Cambrian period, which lasted from 541 million years ago to 485 million years ago. The scientific community prefers to turn a blind eye to these artifacts, explaining their resemblance to something or an accident, but it is worth admitting, we still do not know something about the past of the planet. The traditional science considers that the person has appeared on the Earth recently, only 40,000 years ago. For example, in Russia the most ancient stops of people, on the river Yanja in Yakutia, and on the river Belia, in Priangari, have age of 28-32,000 years. About 20,000 years ago people could reach America, and populated the continent. This a priori means that all artifacts older than this age do not fit within the limits of science. But in the 1930s, archaeologists Harold Malday and Steen McIntyre and scientist Roald Frickel of the University of Washington excavated at Huitlaco, near Mexico City, and found sophisticated stone tools made by Cro-Magnon men, people who looked just like you and me. This contradicts everything scientists knew before the discovery, and the findings were simply ignored. Nevertheless, similar tools have been found in Argentina, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And when in Africa began to find the same tools, which were dated already 2 or 3 million years, it became clear. Either the history of Homo sapiens is more ancient, or there is something wrong with the dating rocks. The fact that other human civilizations already existed on Earth is confirmed not only by researchers and supporters of alternative history. About this also says the Bible, which tells of a civilization that existed before the Great Flood, the catastrophe of planetary scale. This is also evidenced by the Great Sphinx, the sides of which were heavily damaged by water. Geologists who have seen the Sphinx compare its sides to the shores of the sea, which have been treated by water for years. The fact that fossilized sea urchins were found under its pores is also an indication of the Sphinx's prepotency. Obviously, the Sphinx was erected when North Africa was still land, and later it was flooded by water. The water dried up over time, and the sand of the ancient sea became desert. Irrelevant artifacts prove humans are actually millions of years old. Perhaps they once mastered the melting of metals, aluminum, flew to the stars, and even started a nuclear war. The strange findings are well explained by the theory of geologist and Orthodox priest Konstantin Bufiv. He questions the holy of holies of geology, the science of stratigraphy. Its principle is simple. Older rocks contain more primitive organisms, like trilobites or mollusks, in younger rocks more complex dinosaurs, birds, mammals. Bufiv notes that during any flood, all animals are washed away from the shores at the same time, but the distribution of animals on the bottom is by weight. Larger animals are not carried away by the water. They accumulate in the upper part of the channel. The lighter ones settle in the middle part of the channel, and the smallest trilobites and snails are carried to the lower part of the river and carried out into the oceans. Eventually, these things harden, the rivers dry up, and scientists looking at trilobites dug out of the ground piously believe they lived before the dinosaurs, because they were buried deeper underground. But in fact they all lived at the same time. In addition, the archpriest draws attention to the numerous testimonies of monks about the existence of relict creatures back in the Middle Ages. There are indeed more than one account in scripture of dinosaurs, man-eating monsters, or snakes living in lakes and seas, in which the sophisticated reader readily recognizes plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs. Of course, there are other explanations for the arrival of modern artifacts in another time, for example, gaps in time and space. It is not without reason that thousands of people disappear in the world every year. Maybe they simply move into the past together with watches, phones, glasses, cups, hammers and aluminum parts. What do you think about it? Write in the comments and subscribe to the channel, offer your ideas in the comments, and give likes to everyone. Bye.